The necklace was worth $2 million. By the time the hotel guests returned from dinner, it was gone. Elena Marlowe stood inside the luxury suite, still holding her cleaning cart. 3 security officers surrounded her. The hotel manager held up the empty jewelry box. "Who else entered this room?" Elena answered calmly. "No one." The manager stared at her. "Then explain this." Her name was the last one recorded on the housekeeping log. Whispers spread through the hallway. She must have taken it. $2 million. She probably thought nobody would notice. Elena heard every word, but she didn't argue. She simply looked toward the hallway camera, then said, "Check the maintenance records." The manager laughed. "Maintenance records? You're standing here accused of stealing a $2 million necklace." Elena remained completely calm. "Exactly." Then, the hotel's private elevator opened. Everyone turned. The owner stepped out. He looked at the security officers, then at Elena. His expression changed, and he asked, "Why hasn't she signed the document yet?" Silence. Nobody understood what he meant, especially Elena, because the document wasn't about the missing necklace. And the owner hadn't come downstairs to accuse her. He had come to wait for her signature. The hallway went silent. Elena looked at the hotel owner, then at the document in his hand. "I haven't seen that before," she said. The manager immediately stepped forward. "Sir, there's been a serious theft. A $2 million necklace." And Elena was the last employee inside the suite. The owner didn't look at him. Instead, he looked at Elena. "Is that true?" Elena nodded. "Yes." The manager smiled. "Then perhaps the police should—" "Stop. One word." The manager froze. The owner turned toward the security chief. "Who authorized the accusation?" The chief hesitated. "The manager." The owner finally looked at him. "And who reviewed the camera footage?" "No one yet." A nervous silence followed. The owner glanced at Elena again. "Interesting." The manager quickly opened his phone. "Sir, with respect, the evidence is obvious." Elena quietly interrupted. "No." Everyone turned. "The evidence is incomplete." The manager laughed. "Then explain where the necklace went." Elena looked toward the service elevator. It never left this floor. The smile disappeared from the manager's face. The owner slowly lowered the document. For the first time, everyone realized Elena wasn't trying to escape the accusation. She was waiting for someone else to make a mistake. And within minutes, the security footage would reveal something the manager had never expected anyone to notice. The security chief pulled up the hallway footage. Everyone gathered around the monitor. The recording showed Elena entering the suite, then leaving 12 minutes later. Nothing unusual. The manager smiled. There, she had access. Elena watched silently, then asked, "Can the footage show the service corridor?" The security chief frowned. "Why?" "Because the housekeeping camera doesn't." He switched screens. A second camera appeared. The service corridor was empty. Then, at 8:47 p.m., the screen briefly went black, only for 11 seconds. Elena spoke quietly. "That's the moment." The manager's expression changed. "What moment?" "The camera didn't fail." She pointed toward the screen. "Someone disabled it." The security chief immediately checked the system log. His face tightened. "She's right." The manager stepped backward. "That doesn't prove anything." Elena looked at him. "No. It proves someone wanted this corridor unseen." The owner remained silent. Then he asked, "Who had access to the security system?" The security chief opened the authorization list. 3 names appeared. One belonged to the hotel's manager. The hallway went silent. But the missing necklace wasn't the biggest problem anymore. Someone had deliberately erased 11 seconds. And Elena already knew why. The owner dismissed the guests. Only Elena, the manager, and security remained. The owner placed the mysterious document on the table. Elena, how did you know about the camera? She looked at the document. Because the same thing happened 3 years ago. The manager frowned. What happened? A maintenance record disappeared. Silence. Elena continued. Then another one. And another. Each time, the records involved the hotel's ownership files. The manager's face tightened. The owner finally spoke. Why didn't you report it? Elena looked down. Because nobody would have believed a maid. The words landed heavily. Then she opened her housekeeping notebook. Inside were dates, room numbers, and copies of maintenance requests. Every missing record had been documented. The owner slowly turned the pages. Where did you get these? Elena answered. From the rooms nobody thought mattered. The owner stared at her, then quietly asked, Do you know what those records prove? Elena nodded. Someone has been preparing to sell this hotel, without the legal right to sell it. The manager stepped forward. That's absurd. Elena looked at him. Then the documents won't hurt you. The manager said nothing. The owner closed the notebook, and finally understood. Elena hadn't been investigating the necklace. She had been investigating the hotel itself. But there was one thing Elena still hadn't revealed. Why did she have the right to investigate it? The owner slowly stood. Everyone out. The manager stared at him. Sir? Everyone. Within seconds, the room emptied. Only Elena, the owner, and the security chief remained. The owner picked up the mysterious document. This isn't a termination form. Elena said nothing. It's a transfer agreement. The security chief looked confused. Transfer of what? The owner opened the first page. The hotel. Silence. Elena finally looked up. The owner turned toward her. Your mother worked here? Elena nodded. She did. She was accused of stealing from this hotel 12 years ago. Another nod. But she never stole anything. The owner placed an old photograph beside the agreement. She was protecting this property. Elena's expression changed. The owner continued. Before the founder died, he created a legal trust. The hotel could never be sold without the trustee's representative approving the transfer. He pushed the document toward Elena. And that representative is you. The security chief stared at her. The woman everyone had called the maid had just become the person standing between the hotel and its sale. But Elena hadn't come to claim the hotel. She had come to discover who was trying to steal it. Elena looked at the transfer agreement, then at the owner. Who is trying to sell the hotel? The owner pointed toward the security monitor. The manager appeared on screen, entering the service corridor at 8:46 p.m., 1 minute before the camera went dark. Another recording appeared. Earlier that afternoon, the manager entered the owner's private office. He opened a locked cabinet. Inside were the original ownership documents. The security chief stared at the screen. He had access to everything. Elena nodded. Except the final signature. The owner looked at her. Yours. Elena finally understood the necklace accusation. The manager wasn't trying to steal the necklace. He needed Elena removed from the hotel, under the trust agreement. If the trustee's representative was unavailable, a temporary administrator could be appointed by the board. The manager had already prepared that paperwork. Once Elena was suspended or arrested, he could pressure the board to appoint his associate. That person could then approve the fraudulent sale. The necklace was simply the perfect distraction. Elena looked at the empty jewelry box, then quietly said, He planned this. The owner nodded. But there is something else. He opened another file. Inside was an old statement from Elena's mother. She had refused to approve the same sale 12 years earlier. The manager had helped get her fired. Elena's expression finally changed. For years, she had believed her mother's humiliation was an old injustice. Now she knew. It had been the beginning of the same scheme. Elena picked up the transfer agreement, but she still didn't sign. The owner asked, "What will you do?" Elena looked at the document, then answered quietly, "Give him exactly what he asked for." The owner frowned. "Are you sure?" Elena nodded. "Let him come to the board meeting." The manager believed Elena's signature would complete his plan. He had no idea. She was about to use that signature to expose him. The board meeting began the next morning. The manager arrived confidently, certain Elena's signature would complete the sale. Instead, Elena placed the original ownership documents before the board. Then came the security footage. Then her mother's statement. The room fell silent. One board member looked at the manager. "Did you know about these documents?" The manager said nothing. Another board member opened the original trust agreement. His expression changed. "This hotel cannot be sold without the trustee's representative." He looked at Elena. "And that's her." The manager suddenly stood. "You can't do this." Elena remained calm. "You already did." The manager's face turned pale. Security moved toward him. For a moment, Elena looked at her mother's statement. 12 years of shame. A career destroyed. A reputation stolen. The owner quietly asked, "Do you want him prosecuted?" Everyone waited. Elena took a breath. "Yes." Then she added, "But not because of what he did to her." She looked at the board. "Because no one should be allowed to destroy another person's life to protect a lie." The board approved an official resolution clearing her mother's name. Elena signed it. Not as a maid, not as an employee, as the person who had protected the truth all along. The hotel wasn't Elena's greatest inheritance. The truth was, the hotel grew quiet again. The necklace was recovered. The sale was stopped. And after 12 years, Elena's mother finally had her name back. Elena didn't celebrate. She simply stood beneath the hotel portrait and smiled. Not because someone had lost, because the truth had finally won. Sometimes, the most powerful revenge is leaving the truth behind and walking away with dignity. Subscribe to Revenge Diary for more stories of silent strength, justice, and unforgettable twists.